Boxing.
Beats and rhymes.
No one can do it better.
It's difficult to know what's happening next in the heavyweight division. I'm assuming a few step-aside deals here and there will have to be made, unless Derek Chisora pushes forward to get this title shot. The IBF will name him as Dubois' mandatory challenger on April the 22nd. He will not have to fight a final eliminator to get a shot at the title because there's not enough time. Dubois' mandatory is due on June the 21st. He pulled out of his voluntary defense against Joseph Parker on the 22nd of January. So he has to fulfill his obligation. Nothing finalized. Daniel will probably want to avenge his loss against Usyk for undisputed. And Usyk wanted to push forward with that fight too. Daniel and Derek are being promoted by Frank Warren. And that's the state of play right now. Don Charles. He's not going to train someone in the opposite corner to Derek. He's not going to do it. They've had that on and off relationship since 2007. Him and Derek. And Don wants to get at Usyk. He really wants to get at Usyk for the low blow controversy. But for Derek, he could see it like, this is my last shot at becoming a world champion. And people will say it's a bad style matchup. Of course they will. There's also the money. You get more for fighting for a world title than he will fighting anyone else, unless he can get Fury and AJ in the ring. So maybe you can just work out a nice little step-aside deal, get that money, and then get the purse for his final fight too. Then walk off into the sunlight, Del Boy.
Del Boy playing with the toys, bust off a shot, that's how we make noise.
Derek is your IBF mandatory. Is that something you'd entertain?
Maybe. It's not in my vision or anything.
But maybe at the end of the year or next year?
Yeah, maybe a comeback. I wouldn't turn it down and say no, because I'd love to fight anyone at the moment, but Parker and Usyk and AJ maybe, there's the guys that I want to fight. If they get the Derek Chisora fight, then so be it.
It would be fair to say that Daniel's not interested in the fight. So who's Del Boy going to fight for his 50th? You know something, right? I know Fabio's got his heart set on the Pulev fight at Portman Road, Ipswich. But a rubber match between Pulev and Derek for that interim belt, that would be a good send-off for Derek. I think Pulev would like that fight too.
Boxing.
Beats and rhymes.
No one can do it better.
Breaking. Cinco de Mayo weekend. Edward Vasquez, good fighter, challenges Rafael Espinoza for the WBO featherweight title. Vasquez 17-2 with only 4 inside the distance, but don't let that fool you. He can fight, and arguably should have got that decision over Joe Cordina for the IBF 130-pound strap in Monte Carlo. It was a really good fight, actually. He took Ray Ford to a split decision. Many people believe he won that fight. And he takes on the champion. 26 wins, no losses, no draws, 22 inside the distance, 6'1", long reach, Rafael Espinoza. And despite the obvious height and reach advantages, he's not really going to box to establish his advantages. This is going to be a war. The Mexican champion Espinoza, awkward, he hits hard, took the title from the Cuban Robeisy in an upset, and then broke Robeisy in the rematch to retain the strap. I see him holding onto his belt, but not easily. That's the only fight confirmed on the undercard of Inoue versus Ramon Cardenas from San Antonio. He's 26-1-0, 14 inside the limit. Inoue 29-0-0, 26 inside the distance. That fight will drop on the 4th of May, San Antonio, and on the 3rd of May, Canelo will fight William Skull. Cinco de Mayo weekend, that'll be in Riyadh. So a weekend full of undisputed fights. Now if Cardenas upsets Inoue, I hope the WBA have something in place that Murodjon Akhmadaliev gets an immediate shot at Cardenas because he's waited around long enough as the mandatory. There is a deal in place, according to Murodjon Akhmadaliev's manager, Vadim Kornilov. We have a deal pretty much done. We're finalizing it on paper with Top Rank and the Japanese side, is what he told Boxing News. Akhmadaliev will likely have a tune-up fight on a Matchroom card in May, and September the 14th, he'll get his long-awaited crack at Naoya Inoue for undisputed. Or Cardenas, if the unthinkable were to happen. Now, I'm not going to get into no Inoue, because he's a great fighter. But
Y'all know the rules.
Akhmadaliev has to pay sanctioning fees for that little bull crap interim strap, and if he's not getting his fight when it's ordered, I can't really back Inoue on that. Hopefully Akhmadaliev gets his shot, win, lose or draw. Some people, when they debate they frame it like, well, he's not going to win anyway. What are you going to say when Inoue knocks him out? I'm not going to say anything. I'm not arguing about who's going to win the fight. I believe Inoue will win. I'm debating that Inoue's last 2 challenges shouldn't have got a crack at his titles before Akhmadaliev. I'm debating the rules.
Y'all know the rules.
The mandate. That's what I'm debating. That's all.
Boxing.
Beats and rhymes.
No one can do it better.
Netflix landed Taylor Serrano 3, and there's interest in Joshua Fury from them. But if AJ's a DAZN ambassador,
AJ's with Dazn. AJ's exclusive to Dazn.
So if there was a ridiculous deal on the table, and I mean ridiculous,
AJ's exclusive to Dazn. So
it would only ever be a DAZN fight.
That's a decision for Dazn. I mean, if there was a relationship with Netflix and DAZN ambassador, he's exclusive to Dazn, and that's the way it is. So Netflix in boxing is amazing. MVP had done a brilliant job with that. Taylor Serrano is going to be huge, as was the first one, on the undercard of Tyson Paul. So I guess they're looking for those big moments. And there's nothing bigger than AJ against Fury. But right now, we know that's not an option.
It's going to be hard for Tyson Fury to retire. It really is. I have no doubt DAZN Turkey would pay him millions to come out of retirement and fight Anthony Joshua. I'm also wondering if his deal with Top Rank is through. From what I heard, he couldn't run out the fights on his Top Rank contract unless the fights took place in America. And he hasn't fought in America for a while. The other way to get out of the contract is to retire. But if he was able to negotiate fights with Netflix, even if he didn't have Anthony Joshua in the opposite corner, he's going to make bucket loads of money. But as we heard, AJ is exclusive to DAZN, not just as a fighter either. His stake in DAZN is different from other fighter contracts. He's got a deal where the equity he's entitled to is not the normal fighter network contract. Netflix has 300 million paid subscribers. And then you've got more people who use the stream but may not have a regular subscription. DAZN has 20 million subscribers globally. And it has 60 million users worldwide. Hey, I love what DAZN's done, but they can't compete with Netflix reach. They can't. But Netflix might be saying that DAZN have the boxing market all to themselves with HBO, Showtime no longer broadcasting.
There is no competition.
And maybe it's time to give DAZN a little competition. And with that subscriber base they have, it just depends on how far they want to go with it. Is Jake Paul the man to front the promotion of such a venture? He'd like to stick it on Eddie Hearn. Eddie Hearn's got that lawsuit on him because Jake said that Matchroom, the judges, were involved in corruption, scoring against Amanda Serrano against Katie Taylor in the first fight. Eddie said that Jake's not a good boxer, and Jake took umbrage to that, and he wants to stick one on Eddie. Katie Taylor fights on Netflix again for the second time consecutively, basically taking her off the DAZN grid. He signed up Alicia Baumgardner and all these other fighters. So they're trying to find a niche in this women's market. And they want to go for the big fights. You saw the numbers that Jake Paul, Mike Tyson did. They want to go for the big fights. They could definitely bankroll an Anthony Joshua Tyson Fury fight. And there's rumors that Crawford versus Canelo could head to Netflix. And that will establish them in the game as major players. And what Turki Al Sheikh might do is play DAZN off against Netflix, and whoever can come up with the biggest viewership would have the advantage, and you know who that is. Or Eddie said something in there. He said
it would only ever be a DAZN fight.
That's a decision for DAZN. I mean, if there was a relationship with Netflix and DAZN.
For AJ to fight on Netflix, that would have to be a deal between DAZN and Netflix. Could some type of partnership be struck where you could see DAZN content on Netflix perhaps? I don't see it going the other way around with the huge subscriber base that Netflix has.
Boxing.
Beats and rhymes.
No one can do it better.
Oh, great backhand from PADDY. Oh, he's landing an uppercut. Crocker taking. Oh, he's down. That's legit punches that time. That eye is swollen up. They're going to call this off very soon. This is not going to last. This is not going to last. Uppercuts took him down. He's trying to swing back with big shots. Desperate man. He's desperate. Oh, great right hand from Paddy Donovan. And that is good night, Vienna. He won't recover from that. That's all over. Oh, what a performance by Paddy Donovan. Pandemonium. Pandemonium. So it looks like Crocker won, yeah? Disqualification.
Will Lewis Crocker be feeling, I don't want to fight Paddy Donovan again, or will he be thinking, I can do better than what I did last time out? Because he was fortunate to win via disqualification last time out after the fight was stopped in the 8th round when Crocker was on the edge of getting stopped. And as Donovan was teeing off, he landed a right hand that landed fractionally after the bell rang. And the referee disqualified Paddy Donovan. Team Donovan has successfully appealed to get a rematch, and they appealed against the alleged illegal usage of the head on a couple of occasions. It wasn't like Marcus McDonald today, cut that out. It was when Lewis Crocker started moaning and complaining, then he chastised Donovan. It was strange. For one, with Crocker looking like he was on the edge of defeat, and the referee should be listening to the timekeeper banging on the canvas, signalling the round is about to end, he should have been closer to the action to either stop the fight as Crocker was taking a beating, or to get between the two fighters before Donovan could land a punch. He was nowhere near the action. Perhaps he didn't hear the timekeeper knocking on the canvas, just like Donovan probably didn't hear the bell as he landed the right hand fractionally after, which can happen when there's a frenzied crowd like there was at the SSE. So we're looking at a rematch now in what is an eliminator for the IBF 147-pound title, which Jerome Boots Ennis is in ownership of. Donovan will be a huge favourite, the Limerick welterweight, to win the rematch, and you would hope Crocker could improve on his first performance because he was billed as this lethal puncher and prospect, and we didn't see none of that in the first fight. Oscar Collazo, WBA and WBO minimum weight champion from Puerto Rico. 11 wins, no defeats, no draws, 8 inside the distance. As Oscar De La Hoya, his promoter, said, one of the best pure boxers on the planet. And this is all true. He's 28 years of age now. I got to witness his skills last November on the undercard of Ramirez versus Billiam Smith, where he took apart the Thailand fighter Tamon Nayatrong in 7. Sheer class. He takes on Mexican Edwin Cano Hernandez, 13-2 and 1-4 inside the distance. Mexican-Puerto Rico rivalry. It doesn't mean the same thing it used to mean in boxing, in all truth. But by hook or by crook, I'm going to try and see Oscar Collazo live. He called for the lighter weight fighters to get equal respect. He said smaller fighters deserve the same credit as their larger counterparts for throwing punches, for taking punches, for making weight, and added, we're just as exciting as other divisions. That is true. Unfortunately, the behemoths in the heavyweight division have ruled on the planet of boxing for as long as it's existed. But if you get the opportunity to watch Oscar Collazo, you should do so. I don't know how good his opponent is, but he better be good. Because if he's not, he's going to get beat up in there. The talk of the Super League and Dana White has highlighted some of the issues with the lower weight guys, like strawweight in particular, yeah? Or minimum weight, some call it. So you've got straw, junior fly, flyweight, and junior bantamweight. And only 10 pounds separate strawweight from junior bantamweight. 10 pounds separating 4 weight classes. Now, they're going to make the argument that it's different for smaller weights. Them few pounds in between an opponent can really tell. Well, traditional 8 weight classes, it was flyweight, bantamweight, then featherweight. So what? You don't think someone making 175 light heavy might struggle with 200 pound cruiserweights? Why don't they make another weight class in between them two divisions? I'm not going to say which weight classes need to go, but do you need a junior bantamweight division or a junior flyweight division? But this is something that Dana White and Turkey want to address when they put this Super League out there. And it will help the visibility of the lower weight guys who need more exposure. It would definitely help. Also, Oscar De La Hoya needs to get Collazo in position to try and tie up them other 2 belts and become undisputed. Surely Golden Boy have the bag to get the WBC IBF minimum weight champions into the ring and tie up all the straps. The last card I saw Collazo on was at Riyadh season. Cool turkey. Paying a couple of strawweight champions to participate in undisputed fights is chump change to them guys. Come on now.
Boxing.
Beats and rhymes.
No one can do it better.
Gary Jonas, with a $225,000 bid, won the rights to stage Erickson Lubin versus Andreal Holmes. This is an IBF junior middleweight eliminator. Now, what's so significant about that? Gary Jonas, the CEO of ProBox, who broadcast on YouTube, are now outbidding the likes of Dimitri Salita, Dazn, who promotes Andreal Holmes. And where was the PBC bid? Now, the fight might still go on PBC Amazon Prime, headlined by unified 154-pound champion Sebastian Fondora, who gave Erickson Lubin the hands in 2022, distorted his features. Never forget that one. Now, it could go to the PBC if they're prepared to reimburse and compensate Gary Jonas. But it's likely going to go on ProBox. He's the CEO of ProBox. He also owns Boxing Scene. What is the deal with the PBC? One of your fighters are in an IBF eliminator and there's no bid. Keith Thurman's last fight was on PBC YouTube. And I'm not looking to dig up ProBox's financial arrangements or nothing like that. But if you broadcast free to air on YouTube, how do you pay the fight purses? And they're not putting on crap fights, they're putting on decent fights. If you broadcast without site fees, how are you winning these purse bids? Hey, props to them. They're stepping up. As for the PBC,
Yo, my slip out still on. A long time I see them slip out. Everybody has slip out. See it?
Boxing.
Beats and rhymes.
No one can do it better.